So, although I like to talk about many different things on my channel here, one of the main things that I've created a lot of content on, I feel like over the past few months since starting this channel is about my job, about my current workplace, about my position, my thoughts, my feelings on it, kind of what's going on. I just feel like, this is a good place to share my thoughts and opinions on my workplace, how I feel about it, not only because, sometimes it just feels good to get it off your chest, but also, I feel like a lot of people may be having similar struggles or similar experiences that I'm having at my workplace. And if I can help people or, people can learn from something from my videos or my perspectives, my point of views, my opinions, that's a cool thing. Like I, I like the idea of that. So with that being said, as you can see by the title, I'm going to be asking for a raise. Now, there's some context that I feel like is very important before I really get into sort of what my plan is. I've only been with this company for a few months. I started in July, and we're not even at the end of the year yet. I'm not even 6 months into this company, into this job. But a lot has happened over the past few months, over the months that I've been with this company. And, not to get too boggled down by the details, but basically, a lot of people have quit my company, left their jobs, some of them without even having another job lined up. Other people have been fired. My department has lost probably about 30% of its workforce between people getting fired, people getting let go, and then people quitting, whether they, had another job or not. There were instances where people did have jobs lined up, and there were instances where people didn't. But regardless, a lot of people have left, and morale is low, and it's getting worse. And I think a couple things worth mentioning before I kind of get into my plan for asking for a raise. I was brought on as one position in the company, and then I was told there was opportunities to move up in the company. And within a couple months, my department merged with another department, and that cut off one of my avenues to quote unquote move up in the company. And I think that really aggravated me for a couple of reasons. Number one, it cut off one of my avenues for progressing in the company. Number two, I began to do the work of two different positions without receiving any sort of increase in pay. And to be totally honest, saying that out loud is slightly embarrassing. And it's definitely frustrating because one would think that if you're doing more work, you would get paid more. But unfortunately, that doesn't seem to be the case with my company. And not only has it happened to me and the other individuals in my position, in my department, but it seems like it happens throughout the company. They like to use the term lateral move, where they basically put more responsibility on you without giving you any more compensation. And it's pretty much forced upon you. There's not really an option. It's basically, here's the deal with it. And in my old days, a few years ago, I probably would have quit. That was back when I was living with my parents and I didn't have to worry about paying for bills. But now that I'm out on my own and I do have bills to pay, things are a little bit more serious, and I understand that now. And that may have been a little entitled of me back in the day to go ahead and just quit on the spot for something like this versus sticking it out, finding another job. But again, my situation was different back then. I didn't really have any bills. I was living with my parents. And for what it's worth, I was always really good at saving money and investing. So I would never quit my job unless I had, some money set aside for emergencies and so on and so forth. So that's just a little bit of context. But basically, moral of the story before I get into my plan for asking for a raise is my company is, well, I don't necessarily know if I would say the company, but definitely my department is headed downhill. Some might say the company is, that I guess that's up for interpretation and opinion to a certain extent. But my department is treading downward, and a lot of people are upset. I would say most people are upset, and something needs to change. And as a result of all this, with less people working for the company in this department, there's a larger workload on the individuals who are still there, me being one of them. So I think I plan to leverage all of this negativity, all these people leaving, the fact that we have 2/3 of our workforce that we had just a few months ago. And on top of that, there are certain aspects of my job responsibilities that I'm one of the top performers in. Now, that's not to say I'm the best employee by any means, and I'm not saying that, and I don't believe that. However, I do excel in some certain areas, and I have the evidence to back it up. When it comes to retention, client retention, and having difficult conversations with clients, I'm relatively successful most of the time. And I do have some experience working with clients in the past prior to this job, so that experience probably has come into play. But regardless, I do a good job of retaining clients and retaining business. And oftentimes my boss or even my boss's boss will send me things to take care of. And for the most part, I get it done to their satisfaction. And I think the fact that I've only been there for a few months and there's other people who have been there for years and they choose to give me these tasks, it says something. So I think that is another aspect that I plan to address when I ask for my raise. You know, plan on leveraging the negativity and how things are going poorly and how there's more work and not enough people to take care of that work. But also I plan on focusing on the things that I do really well and the fact that I stand out in certain aspects, and it can't be denied. Because the individuals who I will be speaking to in regards to asking for a raise, they're well aware of what it is I'm doing, what I'm capable of, and my value. And I feel, I know what some people are making within my department. Some people are making more than me, whether that's because they've been there longer or maybe they had different opportunities prior to me coming to the company or whatever the case may be. But at the end of the day, face value, I believe it comes down to what value do you provide to the company, and you should be compensated for that. And I feel like I'm not compensated for my value, and I'm really going to focus on that when I bring this up. And with all this being said, let's say it doesn't go well and I don't get the raise and they say we just can't do it, or no, you don't deserve it, or whatever the case may be. I'm not going to get up and quit on the spot and flip everyone off and say fuck this place or anything like that. There's not going to be any like dramatic exit. But I will begin looking elsewhere. And I've had, thoughts and plans to possibly begin looking, especially towards the new year as we approach that. However, if this raise is not given to me, that will probably speed up my search for a new job, I guess you can say. Because at the end of the day, if a company doesn't value me for what I do and the work that I provide for them, then I'm not going to waste my time providing value for them. I'll be honest, I'm not happy with my job. Most people at the company aren't, I think. But again, bills need to be paid, so I'm doing what I have to do. But something needs to change. Something needs to change internally within the company, and something needs to change with my compensation. And if those things don't happen, then I feel like I will be parting ways sooner than later. So That's pretty much it. That's all I got for you guys today. I will definitely be keeping you updated on this. Needless to say, once I get a chance to go ahead and ask at the time that is right, which I plan on doing in the near future here, I will definitely give you guys an update, let you know how it goes. But I think this kind of stuff, this is real content. This is what people, normal people like you and me go through, just at their jobs and through life and stuff like that. So I want to share this kind of stuff and let you know that you're not the only one. And hopefully this motivates people or, shows people what their true value is. And if you feel like you're being undervalued, then go out and get the value that you deserve. So I hope this motivates you guys to go ahead and do that if you feel like you deserve it. If you're new here, I post every Tuesday and Thursday at 3 p.m. Eastern time, and then on Saturdays at 10 a.m. Eastern time. I post all kinds of content, a lot of stuff just about life in general, but also personal finances and anything I really feel like talking about. I record it, talk about it, throw it over some gameplay for you guys. And I appreciate you always checking in and listening. If you are new here, please feel free to just subscribe and like the video, drop a comment, let me know you're new here. Let me know what your thoughts are on all this. Like I said, I'll be keeping you guys updated, but I appreciate you as always. I'll keep you updated and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.